What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday. I hope your Sunday goes well. For me, it's alright, but anyway. So, this is a Black Pill brutal story, and this is the first story that I'm going to include. This is, I promise, guys, this channel is going to get better. So, I hope you guys enjoy these series, but, alright. So, this story takes me back when I was going to church. I grew up religious, grew up conservative, and a little background, which I have to make another video. It's a long story short, but this religion was a little bit strict when it came to dating. They wanted you to date above 18 years old. So technically, if you're 19, you're already considered a good fit to get married. Because apparently, that's how traditionists really think back in the day. I don't know. So pretty much, I remember from this religion, if you're gonna go on a date with a specific girl, she had to have a chaperone, because obviously they didn't want the girl to have sex before marriage, and apparently the best way is to have an adult with them that was trustworthy. And so honestly, I never really dated any girl from that religion, not even on secret, but my friend did actually. So that's how this story began. So basically, because I didn't end up being in the religion for very long. I ended up leaving it when I was 22. So that specific time, I happened to be 20 years old, and I remember my buddy dated this girl from church, and they ended up breaking up. And he met a lot of people from that part, because she was in a different town and a different church compared to mine. Same religion, same organization, just different locations. And he was about to move to a different state for work. I think he got a job promotion, something like that. And we had our last, get together dinner, and we were just conversating, having a good time. And he asked me, how was the dating life, and I told him that I actually didn't have any dates or anything like that. And he asked me, well, my ex, even though we don't talk as much anymore, I'm still friends with one of her buddies. One of her female friends, and this girl's single, and she might be interested in dating someone. And he ended up giving me her Snapchat. To be fair, I didn't know it was a good idea to send her a snap, because I was very I didn't know. I just didn't feel quite right, because she didn't know that she never even got to know me. She never saw me in the first place, and I don't know if she consented to have other people text her. But since I was already losing interest in the religion, I didn't believe in it. I decided, why not? Whatever. I don't care. She can get pissed off. It's her. It's on her. Send her a snap, and I was just. So what I ended up doing, this was a little bit dumb, but I didn't want to give my info right away. So I said hey, and I took a selfie of like an object. I think it was a table and a sock. I don't remember, something weird. Like the sock happened to be there. I just didn't pay attention while I was taking a picture. I put like a random like selfie in a hay, and it was like around my room. Basically, I was like, hey, you're. Just call her Stephanie. Like, hey, Stephanie, how are you? I'm my friend. Let's call him Joe. I'm Joe's friend. He said that you were interested in meeting someone. I don't remember exactly. This was 2015. She's like, hi. She's like, cute sock, and she takes a selfie of her foot in the sock, and that's how we started communicating. And she's like, yeah, I'm interested. I think I'm ready to settle down, find a husband. And so, typical religious stuff. She asked me my relation with God, how I was doing, if I was spiritual, my morals. She wanted, and she asked me if it was all right, if I consent to this is like stupid. This religion used to be very ridiculous. It's like your pastors had a record of you. So apparently, say, is it okay if I ask your pastors about your reputation? I just want to make sure you're a right Christian man for me. And right off the bat, I was like, God damn. I just went along with it just to see where it would take me, because I was like already fed up with this religion. I thought it was a BS, and I was about to exit it. I just had to do it at the right time. And plus, it's a creationist cult. It's like it's very ridiculous, guys. This is like brutal. This is why I always tell everybody, Blackpil, I didn't discourage. Blackpil was already part of me, but I'll get to that in another video. So we started communicating for like 2 or 3 days, and things started to get a little bit better. Here's the funny part: if this girl was really interested in a very spiritual man, she would have never really considered looks, right? Because obviously I'm not the best looking individual, but compared to the other dudes that were there, because they were completely subhumans, I was in a better stage. And I'm not here to rub it in. I love the guys, don't get me wrong, but it's just a true. You got to speak it out. You got to tell her how it is. Because there was other guys interested in her that they were quite more invested in the religion than I was. But apparently she saw me in a selfie a couple of times. She liked me because she was not the best looking girl either. She was like a sub 5 Becky as well. And so basically we were going to have this like convention slash where it's like a couple congregations get together in a specific event, and it's like a motivation. This church acted more like an MLM scams. Like you have a specific reunion to get you motivated. Same thing with this religion. So she asked me, well, I am ready to really like get to know you. So if I can see you in this specific event, I just want to say a quick hello. And if I like you, I might consider to plan the first date. And I thought I kind of took that as a offense. Okay, first of all, she was the one that asked me a lot of personal questions because she wanted to know if I was spiritual enough. And now you're asking me if I like you, if I see you, if I like you, and I might consider it. Okay, you're pretty much into looks, then, so why even lie? This is when I was still like very, I don't consider like blue pill, but I was very naive. The day came, I met her. We, off the bat, she said I look better in person. So she's like, okay, that's, I think I'm ready to plan a specific day. So we started to conversate more. Since she saw me from that specific date, she started to become more flirtatious, very like innocent flirtatious, because obviously it's religion stuff. You cannot go into some specific explicit stuff, but at the same time we started flirting. And I didn't know if I wanted to like date her or not, but because obviously I was not content where I was at. I wanted to leave, but she was still like in it. But I'm like, what, screw it. If she doesn't agree with me, then whatever. So we planned a date, and she asked me if I was going to bring someone else, and I had planned to bring one of my friends because he was like a trustworthy friend where he was like the better fun friends. He wasn't like that typical indoctrinated kid from the religion. So me and him, we had our double lives. So it was quite hilarious. And we parted, and we went to her house, and when we got out of there, it was like weird. We had a jestermaxer. This guy was a manlet sub-5, same age, but I didn't know this. I didn't know she was friends with this guy. This guy, I only knew him from specific events, like sport events that we used to go as a group with the religious group. And one was pretty cool, the other one was a little bit of annoying. He was a total jestermaxer. He thought he was hilarious, but he was not. Unfortunately, he was foolish. He thought he was something, but in reality it was just a guy to make fun of. And even though they say not to be judgmental, but everybody had their laugh because he said some of the most weirdest, funniest shit ever. So he happened to be he was going to be part of our day. This was stupid. Like, this religion, you need a chaperone, because obviously they want the girl not to do anything explicit with the date. The mom was the chaperone. She brought her friend, and she, was going to be the double date, actually, with my buddy. But, I don't know why I include two male dudes, but apparently they were friends. And right off the bat, when we got out of the car, he recognized me. Instead of, he had like this cheerful greetings anyway, even though he was annoying, because obviously he thought he was funny. I don't know. He thought he was cool. He saw me, he got a little bit serious. His expression changed. I feel like I got in his way too, because I didn't know this at the time, that he wanted to get with the girl that I was going to go on a date. And ever since then, he changed a lot. He became a hardcore jestermaxer. We ended up riding along. And I do believe that he was just making dumb questions. I think he was just trying to make me uncomfortable. I don't think this dude was very happy that I was friends with this girl, because obviously I was taking this girl away from him. We got there. The funniest shit ever is, so this is what the brutality begins with. We already have the jestermaxer, sub 5 man laid. a little bit of annoying, but a little bit off. The girl, he was trying to get the girl's attention, specifically that girl that was trying to date, and she just rejected him. You can tell this girl didn't like him at all, but apparently, I think the mom approved of them. I don't know, but so my friend, he's an ex-friend. He's gonna be on another video. It's gonna be titled "Why I No Longer Make Friends Anymore." So this guy, it's not a very, I don't know, like he was not the best looking, but he was charismatic. He had that personality, charismatic person where he can really make a girl fall in love with him. And he had that typical rebel personality, so I think this is why the girls liked him. This is something that I correlated with religion. Girls that are part of religion, they like rebel guys, believe it or not. So we got to the restaurant, and the girl that was supposed to be in a date, she barely conversated with me. She ended up actually talking more to my friend. Her and her friend, they were not really interested in me, so it was brutal. The only one I talked to was the mom, but I feel like the mom's at the beginning she was a little bit more aggressive with the questions, but she liked my vibe. And this is where I started to notice that it's all fake. Women and religion will never mix, because the girls will put their interests before religion. And like I said, I'm not the hot shit either. I'm not the best looking, but at the same time, I do have some features that make girls attracted to me. Not like, holy cow, you're sexy or anything. Just like, okay, if I don't have a chance, I'll give you a chance. I like certain things about something like that. The mom was more invested in getting to know me. Like the mom started conversating with me a lot more, and it was quite funny. Instead of me and the girl be talking, it was me and the mom conversating throughout the time. The girl that was supposed to be my date, she was more interested in my friend. And the funny shit was, my friend was not interested in her. He wanted her other friend, because her other friend was better looking than her. But I let it. I was like, whatever, man. Like, I told him, if she likes you, she likes you, man. I'm not gonna like. He already know I was about to exit it, because obviously we both were not very content with the religion. But so he even noticed this. He's like, damn, I feel like the mom likes you more than the daughter. I'm like, could be. And plus, the mom, if it wasn't, she was trying to give me. Obviously, she was not going to go through like a hookup thing, but the mom, if she could have a chance, it would have happened. The mom was harder than the daughter, but she was just old. She was like in her 40s, and the daughter was like around my age. But we were conversating for 20 minutes before we started eating, and ever since then, the jester maxer took the show. He saw us as a threat, and he did the most obnoxious, annoying thing ever. He interrupted stuff. He started, saying some dumb shit. It's like he wanted not to lose that opportunity with the girl. He wanted us to feel uncomfortable. He wanted to be like the typical guy that takes over the conversation, makes girls fall in love with him. It's just that didn't work with him. People were just laughing because he would be making stupidest jokes, but at the same time, it was like, dude, they're laughing at you, brother. Like I don't hate the guy. It's just the guy is, poor guy. He was trying to do his best to do whatever he can to conquer the girl. So fast forward to a couple of dates, I started to really notice that the girl was no longer interested in me. She wanted my other friend. It was more noticeable. And my friend was very upset because the other girl was already engaged with another guy. So he was very upset. He was very sad, and that's where I knew that the girl was no longer going to be a date or anything. And we never dated, and we still conversated, but it was like at the time, if it wasn't because I never knew at the Blackpil, but now that I know it, I was her last consolation prize. Basically, I was the last choice if things would not work out with her and him. But obviously, my ex friend didn't. Let's call him Steven. He had a typical Steven behavior. Steven didn't like Stephanie. Stephanie did everything, every signal to get his attention, but he was more interested in her friend, which happened to be engaged. And she brought another friend over, and Steven actually got with her. And so, I ghosted her. I decided, screw this, I'm out. So I ended up leaving the religion, and I didn't talk to the girl for a year and a half. And I forgot that she was still on my Snapchat. And so I went to these, when I started traveling, that's when she started to really text me again. And I asked her, hey, like, what's up? Like, I'm surprised you even remember that I was still alive or not. She's like, oh, no, I just saw your snap. I just wanted to give you a holler. I just want to say hi. I haven't talked to you in a long time. How you doing? This and that. I'm like, good. And I'm like, hey, just to know, I'm no longer part of the religion. So if you're not comfortable speaking to me, don't feel pressure. But just to let you know, because obviously, if you're no longer part of the religion, you're already a bad association. I just told her, you know what? I don't participate anymore, so I don't think you should be talking to me. And she's like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. And ever since then, we never talked again. We never saw each other. Jester Maxer humiliated himself, and here's the funny part that I almost forgot. So that's, and I think after 4 dates, because it was stupid. Like the 4 times we did a double date. Well, not double date anymore because the girl never chose Steven. Steven ended up being with another friend of hers, and Jester Maxer tried to really do. So we went roller skating. I remember he was trying to do something to show off to make the girl impressed. Like I said, he was a little bit I don't know, maybe autistic. I don't even know. I don't want to make fun of the guy, because obviously, and I really feel bad for him. So he tried to do something spectacular. What ended up happening is he ran straight into the wall. Everybody, even the DJ at the roller skate, was worried about him and call him and asked him if he was, to the mic, if he was alright, because obviously, he tried to do like a spectacular spin, but he ended up crashing to the wall, face to bottom, and the girl was embarrassed. The girl literally ended up telling me afterwards that she's like, I felt bad for him, but I don't like this kid. This dude is annoying. He's not my type. And ever since, that's where I drew the line, because that's when I ended up finding out that she's like. So I asked her, so how do you feel about me? Because we've been like going out, but we don't even talk. I'm like, good, I like you. You're a very nice guy. You're like my brother. When she said you're like my brother, I know she already friend told me she lost interest to me. She lost interest in me the first day until she met Steven. But Steven was already locked in with her other friend. So fast forward, I ended up leaving, and Steven, never heard of Steven ever again. Things happen. His girlfriend broke up with him, but she ended up leaving too. And we saw each other one time. We conversated, and she ended up telling me that Stephanie and her got into a fight because they were both trying to go get, date Steven, and Stephanie was invested in Steven. And she's like, technically, dude, she told me, like, Passion Traveler, to be quite honest, you were her last option. She was desperate. She wanted the better man. Well, she wanted the Chad or the bad boy. And since you didn't fit those descriptions, you were just the last option. And unfortunately, Steven came along. She saw her opportunity, didn't go through. And I had another guy that I know. He was related to Steven. He was a rebel too, and she wanted him as well. But unfortunately, she ended up not being successful. And she's like, you're the last option. You're still interested? She's still available. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm out of here. Nice seeing you, but I don't like that, and I'm not desperate. And we said our goodbyes. And ever since then, I heard she dated a sub 5 crazy dude, because obviously her options ran out. A lot of people end up leaving this religion. There's a lot of scandal, but she's like the very few left girls that end up staying. And here's a funny part. It was gonna be either her or a landwehr. She had a friend who was a landwehr, 230 pounds, and six. She was just tall. But since nobody wanted her, she was trying to get to know me, but I rejected her. And literally, she asked me if I knew about her friend. I'm like, yeah, because the last time I talked to Stephanie, I think she was trying to question me. I think she was, since before she ended up knowing that I left the religion, she wanted to really make sure that I was still available, because I think her options were all gone. So it was going to be me or the Jester Max or sub 5. But unfortunately, I was no longer, and she ended up going with a very crazy individual, sub 5 too. But typical women. I don't know. He's like that typical weird ass individual. I don't know. So I don't care. But it was brutal. It's this is why religion and girls don't mix. There's no such thing as a Christian girl, and no girl from church is ever going to give a sub 5 or high tier normie chance. If there's a chat or a rebel, girls are going to go for that. This is why I don't fall for that scandal of church girls. Church girls don't really want to be there. They're only there because if they're from a town, sometimes their parents force them to be there or they indoctrinate them. But girls don't want to be shamed either. And in church, what benefits girls? There's a lot of beta bugs. There's a lot of sims because they know that they can fool around for a bit and they can go back to their church and they know a guy's willing to forgive and give her a chance. That's why I'm glad I'm out of there. I'm glad I never dated one or married one because obviously all these girls were never traditionalists. They were the modern feminist, low key behind the scenes, and they end up doing a lot of crazy shit. And for Steven, I never knew whatever happened to the guy. I hope he found his true love. Hopefully, because ever since then he didn't want to talk to me anymore. It's like without me even knowing that he was trying to achieve, get with this girl by me coming to their social group, that's where he drew the line with me. He never talked to me. He never really greeted me. But nobody wanted him. He was just annoying, unfortunately. And poor Jester Maxer, he killed himself in that arena in the roller skating. He crashed into the wall. He made himself, and ever since then, he lost all his chances. And I don't know. So I hope you guys like the story. I hope you guys. This is the first series of the brutal stories that I can share with you guys. Let me know if you want to hear more. So you guys have a good weekend. Have a happy Sunday and take care and peace out.